There's a version of success no one talks about. It doesn't show up in headlines. It doesn't trend. It doesn't celebrate itself. It wakes up earlier than everyone else, and it never asks for applause. Because at the highest level of human performance, luxury isn't something you buy. It's something you earn. Every second of it. This is not a mansion built for comfort. This is a machine, designed for discipline, engineered for obsession, and calibrated for a single outcome: dominance. Welcome to the athlete's performance mansion. A private estate where architecture doesn't just shelter a life, it sharpens it. Every wall, every corridor, every material choice serves a purpose. Nothing exists for decoration alone. Here, beauty is a byproduct of function, refined until it becomes art. From the outside, the structure holds a quiet authority. Low, elongated lines stretch across the landscape, anchored by raw concrete, matte black steel, and floor-to-ceiling glass that reflects the sky like a mirror. No excessive curves. No ornamental distractions. Just precision. A residence that feels less like a home, and more like a statement. Because the individual who lives here doesn't chase attention. They command it, by default. The entrance doesn't reveal everything at once. It never does. A long approach road cuts through manicured terrain, minimalist, controlled, intentional. Each step forward feels like entering a different mental state. The outside world begins to dissolve, replaced by something quieter, sharper, more focused. And then, the first threshold. A pivot door, oversized and impossibly clean in design, opens into a space that doesn't try to impress. It asserts. Double-height ceilings. Natural light pouring in from above. Polished stone floors that carry a subtle reflection of movement, like a reminder that nothing here stands still. The air feels different. Not softer. Heavier. Purposeful. This is where the shift happens, where identity changes from who you are outside to who you must become inside. To the left, a sunken lounge area framed by architectural symmetry. Neutral tones dominate, but not in a passive way. Every texture, leather, stone, brushed metal, feels deliberate, chosen for both durability and restraint. There are no distractions here. No clutter. No excess. Because discipline doesn't thrive in chaos. Straight ahead, the visual axis pulls you deeper into the residence. Glass walls reveal glimpses of what lies beyond, a training facility that feels closer to a professional arena than a private amenity. But it's still hidden, still controlled, because access is earned. Movement through this mansion isn't random. It's designed like a progression, a system, from recovery, to training, to competition, to restoration again. A loop. Endless. Relentless. On the right wing, the recovery spa begins to emerge, subtly, almost quietly. Warm lighting replaces the sharper tones of the main hall. Materials shift. Stone becomes smoother. Edges soften. This is where the body repairs what discipline breaks. A hydrotherapy pool sits perfectly still, its surface untouched, reflecting the ceiling above like glass. Adjacent to it, a series of cold plunge baths, steam rooms, and infrared saunas, each calibrated for one purpose: acceleration. Recovery here isn't relaxation. It's strategy. Every element is measured. Temperatures controlled to the degree. Timings optimized. The space feels calm, but beneath that calm is intensity. Because this is where tomorrow's performance is decided. And yet, this is only the beginning. The real core of the mansion, the place where limits are tested, where identity is forged, still waits ahead, hidden deeper within the architecture. Because in this house, nothing of value reveals itself too easily. You don't walk into greatness. You work your way toward it. Beyond the calm of recovery, the architecture tightens. The corridors narrow slightly. the lighting shifts, cooler, more focused. Materials transition from polished stone to reinforced rubber, textured steel, and performance-grade surfaces that don't just support movement. They anticipate it. And then, without announcement, the space opens. Not gradually. Completely. The training hall. An Olympic-level performance facility embedded into the heart of a private residence. Yet nothing about it feels domestic. This is not an upgraded home gym. This is infrastructure. Cathedral ceilings stretch overhead, supported by exposed structural beams that speak the language of strength without needing decoration. Natural light cuts through linear skylights, casting sharp shadows across the floor. Time itself becomes visible in motion. Every inch of this space is intentional. A full-length sprint track runs along one side, finished with professional-grade surface material calibrated for explosive acceleration. Beside it, force plates are embedded seamlessly into the ground, capturing data invisible to the eye but critical to performance. Speed isn't guessed here. It's measured. Across the hall, the strength zone stands like a command center. Custom racks, cut from matte black steel, hold calibrated Olympic barbells and plates arranged with surgical precision. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is left to chance. The equipment doesn't overwhelm. It waits. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly, repetition after repetition. A row of advanced resistance machines lines the far wall, each engineered not for convenience, but for optimization. Adjustable biomechanics. Perfect load distribution. Movement patterns designed to extract maximum output with minimum compromise. This is where weakness gets exposed and removed. Above, a mezzanine level overlooks the entire facility, a glass-wrapped analysis deck. Screens line the interior, displaying real-time performance metrics. Velocity, force output, recovery rates. Numbers replace emotion. Feedback replaces guesswork. Because at this level, feeling strong isn't enough. You prove it. And just when the space feels complete, it evolves again. A transition zone leads toward the indoor court, hidden just beyond a set of retractable walls that slide open with near silence. And suddenly, the scale shifts. A full-size indoor court reveals itself, basketball, tennis, or multisport, adaptable, pristine, and unforgiving. The flooring gleams under precision lighting calibrated to eliminate shadows. Every bounce, every step, every movement is pure. No variables. No excuses. This is where training becomes competition. Where isolation ends and pressure begins. The acoustics are engineered to carry sound with clarity. The echo of a ball, the friction of shoes against the surface, the rhythm of breath. Everything is amplified just enough to remind you. You're being watched. Even when you're alone. Because the greatest opponent has never been across the court. It's always been internal. Seating along one side rises subtly, not for spectators, but for perspective. Coaches, analysts, or perhaps just moments of reflection between sessions. Up here, you don't just see performance. You study it. You refine it. You dismantle it, and rebuild it stronger. Back on the main floor, the connection between zones becomes clear. There are no hard separations, only transitions. Strength flows into speed. Speed into skill. Skill into endurance. A continuous system. A closed loop of improvement. And at the center of it all, a single philosophy embedded into the architecture itself. Nothing here exists to make life easier. Everything exists to make you better. Even the smallest details reinforce it. Grip textures on handles. The exact spacing between stations. The absence of mirrors in certain zones, forcing focus inward, not outward. Because discipline isn't built by watching yourself. It's built by confronting what you can't see. Time moves differently in this space. Hours compress into moments. Fatigue becomes background noise. The outside world fades into irrelevance. There is only effort, only repetition, only the quiet, relentless pursuit of something just out of reach. And when the body finally reaches its limit, the mansion already knows where to send you next. Because this place was never designed for comfort. It was designed for continuity. To push, to break, to rebuild. Again, and again, and again. At some point, the noise stops. Not because the work is finished, but because you've gone far enough to hear something most people never will. Silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of doubt. And this is where the mansion changes its tone. The transition isn't dramatic. It doesn't need to be. After the final rep, the last sprint, the closing echo of impact on the court, a private corridor pulls you away from intensity. The lighting softens again, warmer now, lower, almost protective. The materials follow. Steel fades into stone. Stone into wood. Wood into fabric. The architecture exhales. This is the living quarter, but even here, nothing feels excessive. The design holds the same restraint, the same control, just translated into a quieter language. A long, open-plan living space stretches toward a panoramic glass wall. Outside, the landscape extends endlessly, whether it's ocean, mountains, or a perfectly engineered horizon designed to remove distraction. Inside, everything remains composed. Low-profile furniture. Clean geometry. No unnecessary color. Because after a life of high output, the only real luxury is clarity. A single step down leads into a conversation pit, a modern interpretation of a space designed not for entertainment, but for presence. No screens dominate the room. No chaos competes for attention. Just stillness. Just breath. Because the person who lives here doesn't need constant stimulation. They've already lived at the edge of it. To the left, a private dining area sits under a linear pendant light, precise, intentional, almost architectural in its presence. Meals here aren't rushed. They're part of the system. Fuel. Measured. Balanced. Optimized. Even indulgence, when it happens, is controlled. Because discipline doesn't switch off. It integrates. Beyond, the master suite reveals itself behind a set of seamless sliding panels. No grand reveal. No theatrics. Just space, perfectly proportioned, perfectly quiet. The bed sits low, centered, facing the horizon. No excessive decoration surrounds it. No distractions interrupt the line of sight. Sleep here isn't escape. It's preparation. Lighting adjusts automatically to circadian rhythms. Temperature is controlled to the degree. Air quality, humidity, sound insulation, everything calibrated for one purpose. Recovery at the highest level. Because performance isn't built during effort alone. It's built in what happens after. Behind the suite, the private bath feels more like a personal retreat than a functional space. Monolithic stone, soft indirect lighting, and a freestanding soaking tub positioned with surgical precision. Water becomes a tool again. Not just for relaxation, but for restoration. Every element echoes the same idea repeated throughout the mansion. Nothing is random. Everything has a role. Upstairs, a private office overlooks both the living space and a distant view of the training facility below. Subtly connected, never fully separate. From here, decisions are made. Not just about business or investments, but about direction. Because the individual who owns this space isn't just maintaining performance. They're building a legacy around it. Walls remain minimal, but not empty. Select pieces of art appear, abstract, controlled, often monochromatic. Not expressions of chaos, but of mastery. Because even creativity here follows discipline. And then, at the far edge of the residence, the final statement. An outdoor extension that feels almost unreal in its precision. An infinity pool cuts through the terrace like a blade, reflecting the sky in perfect symmetry. Adjacent, a recovery deck, ice baths integrated into stone, sunbeds aligned with geometric accuracy. Beyond that, open space. Nothing obstructing the horizon. Nothing competing with it. This is where the mansion reveals its final truth. Luxury was never the goal. It was the consequence. A byproduct of thousands of unseen hours. Early mornings. Late nights. Choices made when no one was watching. Every line of this architecture. Every material. Every transition between spaces. It all traces back to one idea. Discipline creates luxury. Not the other way around. Because anyone can build something that looks expensive. But this is different. This is a place where success isn't displayed. It's embedded. Where every square meter reflects a mindset, not a budget. And in the end, that's what separates a mansion from a performance machine. One is built to impress others. The other is built to transform you. This one already made its choice.